No, you shouldn't take a loan. Yes, you should take a loan. Whether or not you should take a loan is largely dependent on the reason for taking the loan. What's your reason for taking a loan? First of all, what is debt? Debt is borrowing money to do something, and at first sight is wrong, but that's not entirely so. And this brings us to the concept of bad debts and good debts. What is bad debt? Bad debt is money you borrow to fund a liability or a rapidly depreciating asset. And these kind of assets has no potential of increasing your net worth. Rather, you end up incurring more expenses on them just to maintain them. Good debt, on the other hand, is money you borrow to fund an asset or a business. And this has a potential to increase your net worth. Also, with good debts, more income can be generated, which can be used to finance your debts. And it also drives you closer to a sustainable income in the future. What are examples of bad debts? In this context, bad debts could be cars, clothes, vacations, and houses. While examples of good debts can be business startup or business expansion, education, and land. But you also need to know that a liability to you can be an asset to me. How? So we are going to use two different personalities. Mr. Yukan acquires a loan to buy a car for the sole purpose of convenience, luxury, or self-worth. And by self-worth, I mean his current status. So he needs to get the loan, but the loan has no way to help him repay. The car has no way to help him repay his debt, because he will continue incurring expenses on maintenance. And you also need to know there is something called depreciation. Once the car is being driven out of the vendor's parking lot, it starts depreciating in value, because if he wants to resell that car, he will resell it at a lower price. Why Mrs. Possibility acquires a car? Because she runs a transportation business, or she already has a traveling business, so she just needs this car to help her move goods from one point to the other. Now, you find that the car has a way to yield income, which she can also use to offset the car loan. Also, if the car aids her business and gives her a competitive advantage over other businesses, possibly maybe in making deliveries, making purchases, or going for marketing, then you see that directly or indirectly, the car helps her finance her debt. So before you acquire a loan, you should ask yourself these valid questions. The first question you need to ask: do I really need a loan? Carefully analyze the reason for wanting to take a loan in the first place. Now, you need to know, is it a liability? Is it a fast depreciating asset? Is it an aid to an asset? Or is it an asset in itself? If it is a liability, which has no direct impact in helping you finance the loan, then you're better off without a loan. Instead, you have the option of funding your liability via profit or target saving. If it has a direct or indirect impact to your net worth, debt financing, and goal attainment, then you can take a loan, but you still have more questions to ask. 2. Can I repay the loan? While you have identified that this is a good debt, you still need to look into the loan amount, the interest rates, the loan repayment terms, and the loan institution itself. Why? Now, for the loan amount, you shouldn't take a ridiculously high loan simply because you want to fund an asset. Okay, it is an asset, it's going to yield me more income, and then you want to go incurring so much. First of all, do your calculation by determining how much is actually needed and how long will it take me to repay, and how much can I actually take out weekly, monthly to fund the repayment. Do I need to borrow the full amount or just the item? Do I need to borrow the full amount or I can make half? Now, for example, you want to buy a land which costs 1 million. You ask yourself, should I borrow 400,000 naira and then I add 600,000 naira instead of taking a loan of 1 million at once? Now, the interest rate. Only in rare cases of maybe a family member or a friend willingly giving out money to be repaid with no interest. The majority of loans are issued with interest rates. So before taking a loan, look carefully into the interest rates. Take a calculator, a pen, and a book. Do the mathematics so you know the actual amount you're going to repay. And this is because interest rates are usually in percentages. For example, you may hear 25% per annum and you feel, oh, 25% is such a small thing. But when you calculate it, you find out that 25% of 1 million is 250,000 naira. And this is only when you can say it is small or not. What are the repayment terms? You need to ask, look, and read carefully to know the repayment terms. While few organizations will allow you to state how you can pay the debt, the majority of others state the repayment terms themselves. So this is something you need to carefully look into before you sign. There are various repayment terms, repayment conditions such as amortization, interest only first, balloon payments, graduated payments, extended repayment plans, and so many others. Now, some repayment plans require that you pay only the interest first and then the principal comes later. Some divide the principal by the number of months or years. Then you then pay the principal plus the interest on the unpaid balance, either on a monthly or annual basis. So these are things you need to be sure of. So be very careful and try to understand the repayment term. If you don't understand, ask them. Let them explain for you. If they can even help you do the calculation so you know what you're doing. The next thing you should look into is the length of the repayment. What is the repayment duration? The shorter the duration, the higher the repayment amount. But the longer the duration, the lower the repayment amount. But the longer it will take to become debt-free. So choose wisely. Is it a secured loan or an unsecured loan? And by this I mean, do I need to have a collateral property to get this loan? Or can I get the loan without collateral? We all know what collateral is, I suppose. So secured loans usually have lower interest rates compared to unsecured loans. And the reason behind this is because the lender is at a higher risk with an unsecured loan. So he charges a bit higher interest to cover for or mark up for the high risks or the eventuality of not getting his money back. So you get the reason, right? Now, is there a penalty? Or what is the penalty? Because certainly there will be penalties for defaulting borrowers. But you should also know what the penalties are and the severity. How severe is the penalty? Is it something you can bear just in case? You should also consider if there are grace periods, because grace periods are going to be helpful. And grace period is a certain period after the due date that is given to you to make your payments. Say you're supposed to pay back on the 30th of April. A grace period of 1 week can be allowed, and this is fine, just in case of unforeseen circumstances that may hinder you from repaying within the due date. You should also know that penalties are not only on late payments, but on early repayments as well. Yes, some lenders fix an early repayment penalty in the form of an additional amount to be paid just in case of paying before the due date. Now you may ask, why would somebody charge you for paying early? This is because it reduces the supposed income they should have made from the interest on like that. If you had left it till the repayment date, the interest they should have earned is being cut off, so they charge you a bit higher. Next, what happens if you're unable to repay your loans or you make late repayments? So aside from facing the lender's penalties, you reduce your chances of getting financial assistance in the future. That you get a bad credit report, no credit worthiness, and you stand the chance of losing your valuable properties, taking more loans to fund an existing loan, thereby living an indebted life full of fear, embarrassment. You may even lose your job and eventually endangering your health and possibly that of your family. So these are the considerations you must make. These are the questions you should ask before you take a loan. So the question of taking a loan is dependent on you. So before you say I do to the loan agreement, ask these questions. Share your thoughts in the comment section about what you hate or like about loans. Have you taken a loan before? Looking back now, based on what you've read and what you've known now, can you say it was a good decision? Did you learn anything new in this video? Or are you likely to take a loan for something? Or would you rather source for other means of getting your needs settled? Thank you for staying through to the end of this video. I remain the Financial Hustler Prince. Stay blessed.